Hey guys, quick disclaimer before we get into this specific intro. So before we get into the intro, I just want to quickly break down what we're going to be talking about today. Today we're going to be talking about number one, how do you get the most kind of value of this masterclass? Number two, what exactly are we going to be teaching you throughout the next 40 courses? And number three, how do you go about this if you're someone who knows a bit of Premiere Pro, and how do you go about this if you're someone who's got a bit of experience in Premiere Pro? And number four, what are you going to be able to learn and do by the end of this masterclass? That being said, these next 40 courses were designed so that you could finish it in just 1 week. So if you guys really want to speed run through it, you could probably finish it much faster, but let's go ahead and roll the intro. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Premiere Pro Masterclass. So when I sat down to record this intro, I didn't really know what to do. I'm recording this as I finished this entire course. And I just wanted to tell you, you are about to get into so much value, okay? This entire course is dedicated to basically taking you from someone who is absolute level 0 inside of Premiere Pro. We're talking someone who knows nothing about Premiere Pro into someone who knows so much about Premiere Pro, someone who is level 10. And for that reason, I needed to make this recording to quickly break down what each section is about and what exactly we're going to be talking. So the way that we've designed this course and the way that we've split it up is in the following way. I'm going to quickly pull up the sheet in front of me so I can just kind of keep up with you guys. So this course is a total of almost 40 courses. And the way that we're going to be teaching you is we're going to be teaching you guys lessons along the way. So courses, I'm going to guide you through them, 4 or 5 lessons. And then I'm going to give you guys actionable steps. Now, it's very, very important that number one, you do the actionable steps, because that's basically going to allow you to keep that information and retain it in your mind. There's a big study that was made, and it showcases that the amount of information which you retain from consuming content is not nearly half as much as the amount of information you retain from practicing that content. So for example, think if I told you a certain rule in life, think if I gave you a wisdom like, hey, you should probably save a bit more money, and then all of a sudden you didn't listen to it, but then later on in life you went broke, you probably will look back and say, oh, I should probably save a bit more money. So you learn lessons a lot more when you practice them. And if you just applied that saving money technique after I told you, you would have learned it quickly. So if you guys want to learn all the information which is inside of Ultimate Editors, and if you guys want to benefit from 300 of those courses, look, you bought the subscription, you're here watching the courses, you might as well make the most out of it, right? So if you guys want to make the most out of it, make sure you are number one, taking notes while you're going through these courses. Make sure you pull up a Notion tab right next to you, take notes on how everything is made, on how everything works inside of editing programs. And number two, have Premiere Pro open in the back so that you can keep track of everything I am doing. Once again, the way these courses are designed is that I'm going to teach you throughout the course, teach you something, and teach you another thing, maybe 4 or 5 courses in a row, sometimes 3, and then we're going to have an actionable step afterwards. We're going to have an actionable step where you get to practice all of this, and I want you guys to do it with me. Now, if you're wondering, how am I going to keep up with the actionable step? All you have to do is you're going to find a Google Drive link under each course, and it's got all of the course assets. I'll also have a video on there just breaking down how you can use that Google Drive link and where everything is located. But in that Google Drive folder is going to contain all of the assets which you are going to need for this entire course. The raw footage which we use, the images which we, some of the images which we import, some of the icons which we import, the music which we've used, the sound effects, everything you guys are looking for is all going to be inside of that Google Drive folder. Now, that being said, throughout the course, if I do go onto like Chrome or Google and I get a certain image, I do kind of expect you guys to be able to do that on your own. So for that reason, some of the things will not be provided, but most of the stuff is going to be provided. So that answers question number one. How do I maximize and how do I get the most kind of value out of this masterclass? Question number two, what can you expect to complete after this masterclass? Up on the screen right now, after I finish the sentence, I'm going to have some footage of what you guys are going to be able to edit by the end of this course or this masterclass. And we've got some amazing stuff for you guys. So ladies and gentlemen, this is how you master video editing in 2025. First, you must learn both Premiere Pro and After Effects. Then you must learn a high-quality editing style to stylize your content with. And finally, you're gonna need to create a high-quality personal brand to showcase your work. And all this can be done in just 90 days inside of Ultimate Editors. You're gonna learn everything from the basics all the way to the end. Now, with that being said, we get to point number 3. What if I'm someone who knows a bit more about Premiere Pro, maybe I'm someone who's got some experience with Premiere Pro. How do I go about this masterclass? How do I make the most kind of value from this masterclass? Well, the way we've designed it and divided it is into the following sections. Number one, we've got the basics section. The basics section is made for people who have never opened Premiere Pro in their life. We go through the UI, like how everything is divided. sequences, how timelines work, effect controls, editing toolbars, setting shortcuts, and we just create basic cuts and remove silences, and that's all I teach you, okay? So if you are someone who has never ever launched Premiere Pro before, you're someone who is coming from CapCut, someone's coming from DaVinci, whatever it is, in that case, you should probably watch that. If you're someone who's watched editing videos before, you probably don't need it, okay? So, especially knowing the fact that you probably pick these up as you go through the rest of the courses. Another thing I have to mention is that, look, experience teaches you a lot better than information, and that's something I had to learn the hard way. So if you're someone who wants to maximize just how much you learned from this masterclass, I highly recommend you just kind of follow along with me, okay? So make sure that you're following along with me, make sure that you give it your best, and once again, the way that we've broken this down is, first of all, we're going to teach you the basics and the fundamentals of Premiere Pro, which some of you guys don't need to watch. Then we're going to teach you guys the fundamentals of video editing. So things like how text works, keyframes, what are keyframes and how do they work, audio and music, audio levels, how do we create a basic video. Then we're going to teach you guys what the 5 layers of editing are, which are base footage, text, animation, sound design, and music. And then we're going to go in and master each one inside of Premiere Pro. So we're going to dive into base footage. We're going to talk about how to do J-cuts, pacing, zoom-ins, and talk about how you should fix the base footage of your video. Second thing we're going to do is we're going to dive into text and captions. We're going to talk about how you can generate subtitles, generate captions, create text styles, create text animations, all of that good stuff, and place very good visual effects. Third thing we're going to dive into is animations. We're going to talk about how you can create graphics and visual animations, beautiful animations, which you can learn and basically like crush it with Premiere Pro and all that cool stuff. We just have a lot of cool animations we're going to teach you guys. We're also going to teach you placement theory, color theory, lots of important things which a lot of editors to this day don't actually know. Number 4, we're going to get into sound design, which is where Premiere Pro is very good at. Inside of sound design, we're going to talk about the sound design mentality, where to get sound designs from, you know, the 3 stages, whooshes, texture, sound effects, and risers, and we're going to talk about all that cool stuff. And lastly, we're going to dive into music, how to choose music, where to get music from, and how to test music out. And finally, after all this, we're going to recap all of that stuff inside of one final actionable step at the end of the course. And that is going to be basically a complete recap of everything which is inside of the course, which is going to be called your final step. And with this being said, guys, the final test, if you guys are able to complete that, it means that this course is complete for you. If not, it means that you have to go back through this course and go through it again. So we don't have any rules set for this, but if you aren't able to finish that final step, which we have, or final test for you guys, then make sure you go back through this course, because it means there's more to learn inside of this. The way that we've designed Ultimate Editors is that if you learn the Premiere Pro Masterclass, we can build on top of that After Effects, the styles, the editing styles, the clients, the money. Okay, so it all relies on you mastering Premiere Pro first, and then After Effects, and then everything else. That being said, one final thing that I have to say before you dive into this course is this is not going to teach you 100% of Premiere Pro. I don't know 100% of Premiere Pro. I've never used 100% of Premiere Pro. I've only ever used 30%. I'm going to be teaching you guys like 20%. Why? Because you probably don't need Premiere Pro in 2025. We're going to teach you more than what you need, okay? There's like a standard. You're going to be mainly using After Effects for most of your editing stuff. And I quickly explain this because raw cuts and like raw footage is very good in Premiere Pro, but text and animations, visuals, those are all really good in After Effects. Whereas sound design and music, those are horrible in After Effects, they're good in Premiere Pro. So you're going to be using both programs, but it's so much more important to be a very good animator in 2025 than someone who's good at raw footage. But that being said, we're only going to be teaching you guys like maybe 20%, which is by all means not a low amount. It is so much. It is pretty much everything that I know, okay? And it's going to make you such a good editor inside of Premiere Pro. It's going to make you someone who understands everything. It's going to make you someone who understands like how the workspaces work, how the effects work, how to animate really well. It's going to teach you so much about video editing inside of Premiere Pro. But on top of this, it's not going to teach you guys the useless things. And that's why it's only 20%. I'm not going to sit here and teach you guys like the effects panel when you're never going to be using it, right? So I'm going to teach you guys the valuable things and the things which you guys are going to be using. And this is coming from someone who has edited for over 7 years and runs a team of editors myself. I'm going to be teaching you guys the best of the best and only the things which you are going to be using. So with this being said, guys, make sure you keep track of the checks in the top right corner. So after you complete every single module, click on that check. I am super excited to dive into Premiere Pro. We have got a lot to get into, and let's go ahead and master Premiere Pro together. I'll see you guys in these 40 courses.